The purpose of this presentation is to discuss how we can bridge the gap between the different kinds of people that we have within our building, whether they accept the new technology innovations that are brought about or if they are not accepting of those, and how we can best work together with each of these groups of people to ensure that we're utilizing them to the best of our ability within our buildings. We'll also look at how we can reach those people who will be opposing some of those new technology innovations through a biblical lens. So we can really look at Rogers' method for diffusion of innovation, and he identifies 5 different adopters that we will see within our building. So the first ones that we'll see are innovators, and they are open to new ideas, and due to being so open to these new ideas, a lot of the times they are not accepted by the peers within their building because they do have the out of the box thinking, and they really are known as the gatekeepers within our buildings. They bring that information and new innovations in from the outside and bring them into the building to help do what is best for students and staff. The next type of adopter is an early adopter, and these ones are a little bit limited in their approach to the adoption of new technology. They do hold leadership roles within the building, and whom a lot of the innovators come to for advice on effective implementation or training that needs to be provided. The early majority do not have leadership roles within the building, and they tend to adopt the innovation before the rest of the group does within the system, but they're not first or last in their adoption, but they are a little bit more thorough and take a little bit longer in making the decisions to be accepting of these new innovations within the building. The late majority waits for the early majority to adopt any of these new technology, and once they've seen that a majority of people within the building have accepted this new technology, then they're more willing to accept it as well. Sometimes they can be looked at as skeptics within their building because they're just unsure of how that technology is going to benefit them. But they also are influenced by their peers. So peer pressure does play a factor into them being accepting of the new technology. And finally, laggards. Laggards are not the leaders within your building, and they really wait until everybody has adopted this technology and seen the results of it to see if it works before they feel comfortable with adopting the new technology. And it does take them quite a bit of time for them to decide if they're going to accept this new innovation or if they're going to oppose it. So within our buildings, we really have to think about how we can bridge the gap between the people who utilize the technology and those who are opposed to it. And so we really need to think about these early adopters and how we can best utilize them within our buildings to ensure that we are using them to their benefit. So with our early adopters, we want them to share their experiences with others when they're using this new technology. So relying on them as a resource during this time is going to be critical for them to learn from their peers rather than from an administrator or somebody from outside the walls of their building. And they're really going to be these champions of change. So they are going to come through and really be the cheerleader for the benefits that this technology can have, not just on themselves, but really for the betterment of their students. And then they can be there also to provide guidance and support when it's needed for the people who are still skeptical and need a little bit more support in understanding and utilizing the new innovations within the building. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect." And so a lot of the times we can get very stuck in our ways as to what we would like to do within our classrooms, but the world of education is changing around us. And so we really need to think about opening up our minds and being accepting of new ideas and perspectives to help really make those changes within our buildings and within the lives of our students due to the ever-changing world of technology that we're living in. With the late adopters and which includes the late majority and the laggards, we need to provide some professional development to ensure that these individuals are receiving the proper training that they need in order to help them feel more comfortable with the innovations within the building, and we need to allow them room for growth and room for mistakes. So we need to be able to acknowledge these struggles that they're having within the building and provide the resources needed for them to be successful with the new innovations. We also need to have heterogeneous groups of support to help with the collaboration among our buildings so that we can learn from those who are more experienced or more willing to adopt these new technologies so that the late adopters can see how this can benefit them. And then we also need to utilize these late adopters to provide some differentiated training within our buildings to meet them where they are so that we know here's our baseline and where we are. Here's now how we can grow from here based on the supports that we put in place for this differentiated training with them. So just like I talked about before, Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpens iron and one man sharpens another." So by having this collaboration with each other, we're really going to make sure that we're working together and utilizing all people within our building, because what one person brings in their talents into the building can help benefit another person and provide a different perspective or methodology that maybe they had not been made aware of before or had not realized it within the building that this could be a way that they could really amp up their instruction with the use of this technology. So when we're thinking about this through a Christ model and leading through Christ, we need to have a shared vision as a school, just like Christ had for us. And so student success can be secured through this shared mission and vision, and all of the parties within the building, no matter if they're students or staff, are working towards this common goal to ensure that we are doing what is best for everyone within our building and that we all know what the end goal is. We also need to understand that each of our students and staff bring different talents and gifts from God into our building, and we need to utilize these gifts within our building for the betterment of all, because we all have a purpose that God has set forth for us in this life, and He's given us these talents so that it's not just for ourselves, but for us to share with His followers. And then we need to make sure that students feel valued and a part of the learning process by showing them compassion like Christ showed to all who He encountered, no matter their thoughts and opinions on things. Christ showed that compassion and love for everyone He came into contact with, and that's what we need to do with all of the different types of adopters within our building, showing them that love and compassion and support just like He did for us. So I want to leave with this. With an upright heart, He shepherded them and guided them with His skillful hand. This is from Psalm 78:72. And so we're all here to work together. We are all within a building collaborating and working together to help guide people to be the best version of themselves and be the best educator that they can be for their students. And these are my references.